Now I think I want to introduce, did you see us? This is another residential school that I went to here in Winnipeg, 621 Academy Road. There was a Assiniboia residential school. It's no longer there. Today I think they have the, RCMP forensics building there. But we've been doing a lot of work for Assiniboia Residential School Legacy Group. At the end of the month, at the end of this month, September 30th, we're going to have a gathering. We're going to have a reunion. We worked with the city of government, the city of Winnipeg, sorry, and the government and Indigenous organizations. And we will be unveiling commemorative a meeting place for people from all walks of life to go there and contemplate what happened to the residential school survivors that were here, because a lot of people didn't know that that was a residential school in those days. They didn't know. They didn't know we were there, that we were from all different communities, and that we stayed in residential school here at 621 Academy Road. And I graduated here in 1968. So this book won 2 awards. We did a lot of work with it, and it was very emotional, telling our stories. And when we had this, I think it was 2 years ago, and I was looking at at this book, because I have my story here too. Last year, I found it in page 74, and I was 74 last year. And this is just a summary of Sugar Falls in here. But I want to share something with you in the last page, 81. And it goes back to my father, my late father's teaching, telling me that I'll have a lot of questions. And these are the questions that I have. I just want to read it. In conclusion, I am asking some hard questions. Why? Why residential schools? Why couldn't they just leave us alone? What kind of mindset was in operation during that era? Why this invasion of insidious actions of the worst kind? Why did these 2 atrocious systems try to crucify me for who I was? I have a million gazillion whys that will never be answered in this lifetime and beyond. I'm 75 years old today. Why? And you know what? I'm not going to stop there. I want to continue. I want to write a book of why residential schools. I want to use my own generations. I have 15 grandsons, 12 granddaughters, close to 10 great-grandchildren. And I always gather them in circles the way my father taught me from the east, south, west, north. We did a lot of those ceremonies too while I was growing up, but I didn't understand. Now I do that. I gather my generations in the spring. I gather them in the summer. I gather them in the fall. I gather them in the winter. And my father said, Kika, ako gagigis kinomata ne wayak uteta kusnani kiwet nuk asa gikanutsigwe siwen asa mi chet kitsa mi sa kusima kitansku tapanak kikayawawak kikakini ko na piyawak ako kawita mo tato kaya kon gagipigis kinomatan wapanuk sawanuk Negapenug minakiwet nuk. Kuseni mageti si tata pisikupanik. Kanatsikis kinomagewina. Tautse. Tapowinugise. Meaning, he never used to call me by my name. He used to always call me Tanis disgraces, meaning my daughter or my girl. And he said to me, once you reach the north direction, you'll be an elder already. You'll have a lot of children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. So today I have 15 grandsons, 12 granddaughters, close to 10 great-grandchildren, and counting. So what I do is I gather them in circles every spring, every summer, every fall, every winter. And I teach them all the beautiful sacred teachings from the east, the south, the west, and the north. And that's how we pass on our generations, from generation to generations. So that's why I want to honor my father for, my goodness, for, I don't know how to say it, for making me helping me for who I am today, in spite of the atrocities, trauma after trauma after trauma experienced in residential schools. I don't think I would be here today if it wasn't for him. So that's why I want to dedicate Sugar Falls to him. And talking about Assiniboia Residential School, that's what I want to do. I want to write another book, even if it's just a booklet. Why? Because I don't think why will never be answered, but we can always start. And I want to ask permission from Sabinuk School Division, the parents and the teachers, if my students could help me out, write that book of why. So I think it has to go on. You know, we have to leave that legacy of truth for our generations. They need it. And another beautiful teaching that my father left me was Nistogegona Gitek. Pugutagis taman tante ututain. Pugutagis taman kegono moche uchi aino tagegono uchipagitatamuan kegono uchipmutain utaski mina pugutagis taman tante ututain. Meaning, he wanted to teach me 3 other beautiful teachings where I had to know where did I come from? Why am I here? What is my purpose? Why am I breathing? Why am I walking on Mother Earth? And where am I going? Sige mapugutagis ni misuan kay kono mo daw chip matsian. Ako tati asu iminatsik. Kitsawase misak kusimag kitans ko tapanag. Tatua wiyagawin tutag. Kikapena nati ko kikapenan tumigawin. Kitapikis ko at namanoma. Tapuewin. Kamintanan uskagi tsigisigag. Meaning you have to know. You have to know who you are. Where do you come from? Why are you here? Mitunige ka kanopa ten kichichia kiskisigo misiwe kiyo tante uchipanik. Meaning you literally have to look at your hands, your face, your everything, every piece of you to know where you're coming from and why are you here and where you're going. And you have to pass on these teachings to your generations. And you'll be invited to go and speak the truth of Sugar Falls, the truth of what happened in those dark eras of your journey. So those are the beautiful teachings that my late father left me. And our stories will never end. They will always go on from generations to generations to generations. And I want to talk a little bit about reconciliation. In the beginning, I said I don't know anything about reconciliation. So last September, I was invited by a group. I won't name this group. And they wanted me to talk about reconciliation. And I'm saying to myself, well, I don't know anything about reconciliation. And they told me that there was going to be 3 professors there. And I'm like, uh-oh. professors and myself. And I said to myself, you know what? I think I know what I'm going to do, because this was the next day. I gathered my generations from age 5 to 25, and I told them, tomorrow I'm invited to talk about reconciliation. I don't know anything about it. I'm wondering if you could help me out. And I said, with your permission, can I write down your answers? And they said, okay. And here I go. And then they started. Some of them said, it's eclectic. I don't know what that means. Some of them said, it's the 4 directions of mankind. Some of them said, it's you and me, Grandma, talking and listening. And some of them said, it's the future. And some of them said, it's very sacred. This journey is very powerful. And so many of them, I had about 50 of them. And then I have a 7-year-old, he's 8 years old now. I call him the thinker, and he was sitting way further back. And he had his hand up like this. And I says, yes, Winter, his name is Winter. And he says, I think I know, Grandma. And I says, do you mind sharing? And then he says, I think what would that big term reconciliation means. And he went like this, and he says, I knew he was thinking. And then he says, I think it means light. I think it means the light of knowledge. I think that's what we called hope, H-O-P-E. And I think he nailed it. And I'm just so honored. And I think that's his way of seeing the future of reconciliation is hope. The road of light, the road of knowledge. And I was so honored to share that today, that day. And those professors came first, and they were just so sky high. You know how with all their degrees, there are 5 of them, and I'm like sitting there, well, what do I say? They have all the answers with these big, huge terms about reconciliation. And I'm saying, oh, wow, what am I going to say? And then, and I remembered my generations. So I just proceeded to read all of them. Slowly but surely, these professors came down at my level. And that's how we're supposed to say our stories at our level. We're supposed to use our first language and translate them to the best of our ability. And I'm just so honored to be here today, to be able to share my journey, Sugar Falls, and did you see us? And I thank each and every one of you. Kusanin tute magtapaginan asumit nanus kay gitsigisag, kay gipento tawiek, kumatapuin. Awani po ko tapuin tapagit na maku taski. Kita giskeni tamak utaw sigite na kitantu tago ako. Kisawasi misno ko kusemina ko tansku tapana. Sige mamis taige ko anis panyon uskay gitsigisag. Ewan sigik uskatsak. Awani po ko tetan tepiak tawitsiako. Kweski sa tayamiako. Uma tapuin. Wisto tamino mute chiku taski. Kitawaste ne umes kaniwawa wistawa. And I just stated to the elders, my colleagues, that we need to be out there, that we need to connect with our people, with our generations, with the community, to speak the truth, especially to our youth that are very lost today, to give them that hope of light, for them to know where do they come from, why are they here, and where are they going. Those are the 3 most important, precious teachings that my father, my late father, planted deep within the recesses of my being. And I'm just so honored to be able to share that today in good ways. I can't keep it to myself, I have to share it. We beside again and ask with na kisagi na kaya kemi na kaya.
Wow, that was such an amazing story. Like, my heart is so... well, because I come from Pamichkamak and I grew up in Norway House, so it kind of brought me to that place, envisioning just my own childhood there, but seeing your story and just the experiences are so real. Like how more can you explain reconciliation than listening to Betty Ross's story of the truth? You know, it's very meaningful to the history of our country, and so I really hope you take in her teachings and her lessons and her story and share it with everybody, because this is what we need our future generations to understand, is what happened to the Indigenous peoples, to my people here in Canada.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. I understand it's painful to relive some of those memories, but the stories and the teachings from your father are just absolutely beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of We Stand Together here in Winnipeg on the Treaty 1 territory.
What we've learned from this experience is that reconciliation is a journey, and it's hope. Us coming together to share these stories, learn from each other, so future generations and non-Indigenous folks like myself can continue to work together and move forward.